On July the 15th, 2008, Ronaldinho sealed a €21 million move from Barcelona to AC Milan. Another big money transfer for the former World Player of the Year, but this time the Brazilian was at a crossroads in his career.
After so much time playing in Spain, I decided I needed a change. I settled upon Milan because the club has one of the best setups in the world. Some really great players, and they're one of the best teams in the world too.
His game's changed, but Ronaldinho's still young. He needs to be loved again. The fans abandoned him.
So has the world seen the best of Ronaldinho? He's certainly won everything there is to win for club and country, but the old inspiration isn't there. Does the once brilliant Brazilian have the desire to prove himself once again?
I want to believe that he does. I'm praying he does, because he's a spectacular player. I love watching Ronaldinho play. But my big fear is he's become much more of a showman than a footballer.
Ronaldinho, after all, inspired Barcelona to back-to-back Primera Ligas and a Champions League title. It was all done with his familiar, intoxicating inspiration.
I think he did so much at Barcelona that people always expect more and more. Sometimes that's just not possible. You can only do so much. You're only human.
Ronaldinho, perhaps the most gifted player of his generation. Between 2004 and 2006, Ronaldinho redefined football. He combined vision, touch and invention with steely determination, inspiring Barcelona to title after title.
It was a joy to watch him, and he was one of the guys that made the public came to the stadium. It looked like he was always happy and content on the pitch, and the only thing he wanted to do was play his game.
I think that no one has played as beautifully as Ronaldinho in the past 10 years. He was able to achieve those big wins, leading Barcelona to the Spanish title, helping them win the Champions League. He was able to give them that most important element, but at the same time, he'd always do it with a smile on his face.
Here in Brazil's southernmost city of Porto Alegre is where Ronaldinho's story begins. Born in the relatively poor suburb of Vila Nova in March 1980, Ronaldo de Assis Moreira seemed destined to become a footballer.
Ever since I was a little boy, I've loved playing football. It's a gift that God gave me, and I'm just happy to make a living out of it.
A talent for football ran in the family. His brother Assis starred for the local club Grêmio in the early 90s until his career was cut short by injury. Assis was an important role model to his younger brother.
Everyone knew about Assis at Grêmio, and he played for Brazil at every youth age group, so everyone knew about him. Just imagine what it was like for Ronaldinho at home, watching his brother do all this. So I think the greatest inspiration was his brother, Assis.
Ronaldinho was quick to follow in his older brother's footsteps, playing futsal at Grêmio from the age of 7. Even as a youngster, he showed a precocious talent and soon established himself at the club he supported.
For so many years, Grêmio was the beginning of everything. I owe the club a lot. From the age of 7 to the age of 21, it was a great start in football.
Were you a fan?
I still am today.
What he does today, he was doing back then at the age of 12 or 13. Everyone at Grêmio and in the south of Brazil knew that Ronaldinho was going to be a great player.
As well as his brother, the young Ronaldinho had another hero, Rivelino, one of Brazil's stars of the 70s.
I'd always watch loads of videos of him, and I'd imagine myself being Rivellino. And then I wanted to be left-footed too, like Rivellino, and then Maradona. And my brother as well. Practically all my heroes were left-footed. Rivellino was, and still is, one of my biggest football heroes.
For all the tricks and flicks he learned from watching his heroes, Ronaldinho was no stranger to hard work.
If he could play after training had finished, then he would. We'd leave and go to Restinga, where I lived, and then play football again. His life has always been about football.
Having won the Under-17 World Cup with Brazil in 1997, Ronaldinho returned to Grêmio, ready for first-team action. The teenager was an instant hit with the fans. Despite his skinny frame, he adapted to the tough regional championship well and impressed the supporters with his eye for goal and an extraordinary touch.
The South Brazilian Regional Championship is the most similar to European football. A lot less fouls are given and it's more aggressive than other championships. And I think that made a big difference to Ronaldinho's career.
Like many great players, Ronaldinho produced his best performances in the biggest games. Grêmio's bitter rivals were Internacional, and Ronaldinho always excelled against them, so much so that the nation took notice.
He first caught the eye in the Grêmio Internacional derby, in a regional final, when he famously dribbled past Dunga. And it seems, even to this day, Dunga hasn't forgiven him. And that's when everyone said, "My God, who is this kid?" What a confident kid to do that to the '94 World Cup winning captain.
It wasn't long before Vanderlei Luxemburgo called him up to the Brazilian national squad, and to help him settle in, Ronaldinho was to share a room with the captain and former Grêmio teammate, Emerson.
Generally, a young player's a little shy, or afraid of speaking to anyone. And I think I helped him feel at home, especially as I was also from the south of Brazil and had played for the same club.
He took to international football easily enough though, and he looked every inch a Brazil player when he scored in 1999 against Venezuela in the Copa America.
There was that moment against Venezuela when he came on as a substitute and scored that now famous goal. The opposition was poor, but the goal itself was spectacular.
Suddenly the kid from Villanova was a star, but perhaps he'd outgrown his southern Brazilian origins. When Paris Saint-Germain expressed an interest, Ronaldinho had to go.
I think Ronaldinho is the greatest player to come out of Rio Grande do Sul, and one of the greatest in Brazil. However, I think the region hasn't recognised that fact.
The fans turned on their hero though when they learned he'd signed for PSG on a free transfer, taking advantage of the Bosman law. The love affair between Ronaldinho and his hometown club was over.
That was more of a